no wrongdoing by the police officer who shot him, which I don't agree with. But this is case closed. That's why we have the body cam now. That's why we have any information, because for the longest time, nobody could get anything. It was locked tight. You couldn't get nothing because it was still under investigation. They were investigating the officers who shot him. Well, case closed, then give us everything. Why continue to hide things? It's like Hudson Lindau. If he just had an accidental drowning, why not give the autopsy findings? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do we have to go off the coroner's word? That's not fair to the public. If you want the public to trust you, you have to be transparent. You have to give the reports.
I agree.
Not just expect us to take you at your word.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable. This is America, okay?
But this is video 1 on the Brent Kopaka subject, and we'll be diving into it a lot more. I hope I gave you guys a really good rundown, really thorough into some of the speculation and some of the why behind people are interested in this. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and let those thoughts riot.
And let us know if you want us to go deeper down the rabbit hole.
I mean, we are. There's actual evidence. This is just video 1.
You can tell us still, though.
Yeah. What is going on, everybody? I'm going to give everyone just a minute to hop on in here. Did it pop up? Yes, it did. It did. Hello. Hope everyone had an awesome weekend. An awesome weekend. And we're going to continue diving into this topic. There are such weird coincidences in this topic, you guys, and it's interesting. I gotta tell you, I went into this topic thinking that I wasn't gonna find anything, and if you guys have been watching us for a while, I just saw a whole bunch of people come in. Welcome everybody. Ready? All right. All right. Well, I guess I'll just do the intro here and we'll go from there. I have some weird. Hang on, you guys. I'm just going to disconnect that. Okay. You might get a little bit of a skip. Okay. All right, so welcome everybody to the True Crime Talk Show. Oh my gosh, I didn't change the sign. I can't believe I didn't do that. Fail on me, but that's okay. Tonight, I guess it'll just be Thought Riot Podcast. But welcome everybody. We just got done watching the Brent Kopaka Part 1, and I got to be honest, like the chat was engaged the whole time, and I was expecting people to be in chat complaining because the normal argument is like, how could you actually, I think somebody left a comment. Actually, what'd they say? Here, hang on, let's see what they said. They said where is it? Let that poor man rest in peace. Absolutely nothing to do with this case. It's disgusting to still see creators continue to imply he is connected to the murders. Kopaka is a veteran and should not have his picture on your thumbnail. Shame on you. So I was kind of expecting people to be in chat like upset about it a little bit because I think that's a classic argument, but I think
I mean, the argument makes sense. I'm not going to say it doesn't make sense. That I understand why people are upset talking about a veteran who could possibly be connected to a crime where most people do not see a connection.
Yeah.
And that there should be cause or police. I mean, in their world, people who think like that, it's usually like, if the police aren't questioning if it's him, then you shouldn't be.
Yeah, yeah, and for me, what the interesting thing is again, I am a firm believer, a 100% firm believer, for one, freedom of speech, and two, that anything can be talked about as long as you're talking about it respectfully. I mean, I'll put that to the plate, you guys. I would 100% put it to the plate that I think anything can be talked about as long as you can talk about it respectfully, right? I have no idea if he is connected to these crimes in the same way that nobody will be able to prove that he's connected to these crimes without it going to actual court. But we can look at the objective evidence. We can look at some of the connections that are out there. We can look at these connections and weigh them with other people's connections in the area. And I think that's a completely reasonable thing to do. I think that is well within our freedoms and rights. And I would just say, if there's anybody out there doing it disrespectfully, shame on you, you know, and not everybody, but shame on the person that is making the mistake of talking about a topic in a disrespectful fashion, you know?
Yeah.
But we have a ton of information. We submitted this FOIA last year? I think last year we submitted this FOIA, and we have interviews with the roommates. We have interviews post crime that, you guys, when I recorded this video to just give our viewers the rundown, because not all of our viewers know who Brent Kopaka is, and a lot of them see the chat and they have sent comments and like, well, who is this guy? We needed to give a really thorough rundown of who he is and why he's important to the crime, right? And we didn't even cover everything. We didn't talk about his social media. We didn't talk about the eye picture that people see things in. And we will touch on those. We'll lay out that evidence, you know, systematically. I just want to be very, 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 very clear. No matter what is found, you guys, it doesn't matter what is found. In my opinion, somebody that willingly goes to the military and signs their life away, okay, and that's literally what you do when you join the military, is you sign your life and your entire being over to the military. And he was sent out and got hurt, you know, guarding, backing up, and being a part of our military service, and that makes him a hero. And a lot of people say this. I hear a lot of people be like, yeah, he was a hero, but all of this and this. And I don't ever want to present that and make it seem like there's a but. And that is a very heroic thing to do. You know, not everyone goes in the military and gets hurt. He did. Okay. He got blown up in a Humvee. He was riding in a Humvee. They hit an IED and he got blown up. That being blown up caused TBI and PTSD, two things, two illnesses that can change somebody's character and person. And even when you read his what's it called, his obituary, it says in there that for 16 years he had been battling PTSD and TBI, you guys.
Yeah, so he was lucky to make it out of the war. He was very lucky to make it home alive. But unfortunately, he brought things with him home that he later would succumb to. You know, so did he ever actually make it out of the war? I don't know if you could actually say that.
Not based off of what we've heard.
Based off
in
of
the
what
FOIA.
we have heard is, you know, he was battling his PTSD, and it looked a lot.
Bad.
When you look up some of the worst cases of people who have had PTSD and their whole life has tanked, like they're disconnected from family, you know, battling issues, mental health issues.
That was him.
That was him. That was him, and it was really, really bad.
And that's one thing I feel like it's really good that we put emphasis on, because I don't know if the content creators I've seen before understood how bad his battle was with the TBI and PTSD, you guys. He was self-medicating every single day. Every single day. Every single day he was worried if people were following him. Every single day he wasn't sure if he could go home to his own apartment because he was feeling like, you know, paranoid that stuff was going on. Now, can this also be evidence for us to look at and say, could this have caused a reaction in a situation that needs to be looked further into? I think that's a fair assessment. I really think that's a fair assessment. But it's also equally important that we use this opportunity to highlight the problems within the military and the VA and situations like this. There are interviews where people that claim they were really close to him said he couldn't get help.
Yeah, that's one area I think the VA really, really fails at, is that sometimes it can be hard for, you know, veterans to get help when they really need it, but also a lot of times with the VA, they aren't proactively making sure that their vets are safe and okay, especially ones that have been injured. They're not checking up on them and saying, well, okay, it appears you're struggling because you have TBI and PTSD that you got, you know, after being discharged from the military. So look, we have all these services we can offer you. Like, why are they not proactively checking in with veterans that come out of a war who have been injured and have a Purple Heart? Why are they not proactive and making sure these people are okay and drawing them in and trying to get them services?
Yeah.
That should be a
I
thing,
hear you.
because we have had such an issue with PTSD and TBI too, which can change a lot about a person, you guys. Brain damage is something that I had no idea how much it could change a person. Even minor brain damage can change like the course of somebody's life, who they are, significantly.
Yep.
So I just don't understand why they're not more proactive. They're not putting, you know, more money into taking care of these veterans, because, I mean, their sacrifice for our country is so important. Like, do we want,
hear you.
even though we don't want war, even though we don't want them suffering these things, they sacrifice it for a reason, for our nation to exist and to thrive. And it's needed.
I hear you. I hear you. 100%.
It's needed.
So someone was saying in the chat, I agree with
It's
you.
literally
I agree
necessary.
with everything that you're saying. And I do think that it sucks that they kind of get left hanging in these situations. So somebody had mentioned, I believe it was J is for Justice. If that's who it is, you know, give me a thumbs up or something in the chat, you guys. But I believe that there is a J is for Justice video where she got body cam of a different situation that shows Brent Kopaka really paranoid. And there was some kind of police interaction showing his paranoia, which is interesting. That's interesting. And just further evidence to back some of the interviews that we've seen from this situation, right? Now, for someone said they sent the link, put the link under the video, if you will, in the
What?
In the Brent Kopaka, because I don't think links show up on here. And even when I go on YouTube and click that links can be posted, they don't let them. So I personally don't see the link. I don't know if anyone else does.
No, I don't see it.
Or
Discord. That could work too.
Yeah. But so as I'm watching the video back that we just recorded on Friday, you know, obviously, you guys, I'm super long-winded in a lot of situations. So let's just start from the beginning with the Brent Kopaka story, right? So 31 days after the Idaho 4 situation and massacre happened, there was not a suspect. They did not have anybody that they were openly saying that they were pursuing. And then this situation happened. Brent Kopaka happened 31 days. I believe it was December 15th or the 14th to the 15th. And after an 8-hour standoff, okay.
Well, they were on to somebody November 29th.
Yeah, that's why I said
it
public.
wasn't public yet.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think this is important to the story that they didn't have a suspect at that time, in my opinion.
Not publicly, not
Right.
that any of us knew.
Yep. So then December 14th and 15th happen and a standoff occurs. Okay. And the 911 call is a huge shroud of mystery that nobody can understand. Okay. Because, law enforcement claims a 911 call was made. And I think people draw connections to the Idaho 4 case in this too, because they're being so weird with the 911 call. But with Brent Kopaka, law enforcement says they got a 911 call. Okay. They won't release who made the call. They haven't ever shared the call, and that call is just gone, even though this case has been closed, even though the officer involved shooting has been deemed approved and okay. They still haven't released the 911 call, and I believe the officer came out and said something along the lines of unable to find it or something along those lines. So I don't think we're ever going to get the 911 call, which is strange, but police show up at his apartment and they have an 8-hour standoff. The body cam is strange. You can't hear Brent Kopaka except for one single time, I feel like, which is what you talked about in the video, where you just hear like a little bit, someone saying something, some popping, and then ultimately Brent Kopaka is dead. Nobody ever sees proof of life in any of that body cam footage. Nobody sees proof of life in anything. All we know, right, without taking just the good faith of the officers, is that a 911 call happens according to them, which we never hear. They show up. There is no proof of life in any of the video footage. Then 8 hours later, officers go in claiming they made a sniper shot, and he's dead. And that's what the public can see in the footage. And that feels strange. And I understand why people are drawing connections like, whoa, we already have a super weird situation with the Idaho 4. Now, 15 minutes away, we have a really strange situation too. And I think mid-December, people's trust in police was waning. And then to see this, where in my opinion, this should not have been okayed as an okay situation, an okay shot. I don't think they should have ever greenlit that shot, in my opinion.
No, I don't think so either. And it said that it was a sniper that took the shot.
Right.
So you also never see the shot.
Right. Yeah. Well, what's interesting is he didn't have anybody in there with him. So why was the shot ever made?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Why didn't they breach?
I mean, there is a part where the cops call somebody who lives in the coffeehouse apartments and says a bullet breached your apartment and went through the wall into your apartment. So we went in to check on everything and make sure nobody was hurt or anything.
Yeah.
So bullets flew at some point, but from who?
I hear you.
And
I mean,
when and how, like, we don't know.
I mean, I doubt that bullet was from Brent Kopaka because I mean, I don't know what type of handgun he has, but handgun bullets are not going to go through a wall, through a wall, through a wall, through a wall. Depending on what is going on with that wall, that is more likely a sniper round. But I guess it depends on what kind of shot you have and what caliber handgun and things like that. But it's more likely for a sniper round to go through multiple walls in that nature.
It's really odd to me, honestly, that Kopaka was even living at that apartment, because that is student housing. It is part of Coog Apartments, and that company is specifically student housing. And it just doesn't, like, did he work at WSU or was he going to school there? Because with how he was, it doesn't make sense for him to be going to school
So
when he was
remember,
that out of whack.
do you
But
remember the FOIA interview request that we got where they said that he was a part-time student, and that can't be found anywhere, nowhere. It says in the interview, the somebody that knew him what seems like really well, that he was a part-time student and they helped get him into that housing. And I know he has to be on the lease because he submitted complaints with the what's it called? The landlord. He submitted complaints with the landlord. You can't submit complaints to a landlord if you're not on the lease.
good point.
So I think he was connected to WSU in some way. And what's
He had
interesting,
to have been.
right. Now, what's interesting here is we've theorized University of Idaho wanting to keep all bad situations away from it, right? Because they're worried about reducing their students for the next term. Okay. Now, in this situation, are we seeing the same things happen at WSU that we are seeing happen at U of I, where WSU is like, whoa, look, he was only a part-time student and he had only been here for one semester. So we are, going to pretend he was never here.
Yeah.
Because why else is he in this area? And that's strange too. Why is Brent Kopaka in that area?
I don't know. He seemed to have friends.
No.
A few.
No, those people he met when he moved there.
Oh.
He didn't have any of his good life friends. Those life friends are in PA, Illinois, and I think that's it. Maybe New Mexico is when I was looking up background, but definitely Illinois.
No, that's
outside
not
of
true,
Chicago.
because his mom lives in Idaho, or Idaho or Washington.
I don't know. I just know when I listen to the interviews, they say very clearly that they met Brent Kopaka when he moved there.
Yeah, but his parent, I'm like literally certain. I found some stuff. I'm certain his parents or his mom at least lived nearby, like pretty nearby.
Okay. We'll
So
have to
maybe
look it
he
up.
moved back to that area to get on his feet. I don't know, to
then
go back to
why-
school. I don't know.
Then why was he ever in PA or Illinois?
I don't
Because
know.
he lived for a solid amount of time in Pennsylvania and Illinois.
I don't know. I don't know much about his dad. Maybe there's a divorce and they live across the country.
Yeah, there was a divorce. His parents are separated, so maybe that's why. That's a good call. That's something we're going to have to put that question down and look into further in his background. But since we're on the topic, how strange is that? The fact that I don't know how many miles apart. It's over 1,000 miles apart from coast to coast. These two random guys live within a stone's throw away. In Pennsylvania, it wasn't necessarily a stone's throw. They were 40 minutes away from each other in Pennsylvania. But then in Washington, they're 15 minutes away. That, to me, is the strangest connection. Do I think it's possible that that's a random coincidental connection? Yeah, I think it's possible, but it is so strange and it is so rare for that to be a coincidental connection.
Well, I've heard, I mean, we're clearly not 100% sure what he was doing at WSU. But I did see some people saying he was a security guard, or that's what they thought.
Yeah, that's what I said in the video.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, the early reports are that he was IT, but then they quickly changed it to security guard. But then we also hear stories that he wasn't working and he was a part-time student. He was homeless. So there is no way to confirm this unless we reach out to the school, which we can do, but I can almost guarantee you, based on what we're seeing with how the schools manage problems in the area, there's not going to be a record of him. There will not be a record.
Yeah.
Schools are private. They don't have to. There's no guarantee that if something happened or he was a student that it's going to be in there, right? It's same thing as like a company, you know?
Yeah, he what is weird to me is the possible connection with Bryan working at WSU. And I wonder, with Bryan being a TA and Brent possibly being a security guard, like, or if, you know, even if IT is the truth, like, both of those things make me think they could have known each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that why Bryan brought up Kopaka in the body cam footage? Twice. Both times he got pulled over.
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea.
Is that why it was such a big deal for them?
Whatsoever. Yeah. Hey, and I just see back and forth between people who have opinions, and that's always okay in the chat. Just make sure you guys are being respectful, right? The rule of Thought Riot Podcast is we will talk about anything. There is no off limits topics, okay? That doesn't exist. That does not exist, because we are respectful and adult enough and objective enough to be able to talk about anything respectfully. So please treat each other the same, so we don't have to remove anyone.
Yeah, and we're not trying to pin a crime on Brent Kopaka.
No,
that's not what we're trying to do. We're also not trying to, like, solve the crime of the Idaho 4.
Yeah,
like, we expect the police to do that. But we're gonna look at objective facts. We're gonna look at the police's work. We're gonna grade it. We're going to speculate, as dirty of a word as that is, because it's our right to.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. No, absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with think tanking.
No. There isn't anything wrong with think tanking. And you know, I think anybody that tries to suggest that there are topics that are off limits, I mean, I would look into priorities a little bit, if I'm being honest, because you know, it's about the presentation, not the topic. And look, we went through this in the very beginning here, and maybe some people missed it. Look, Brent Kopaka is an absolute hero who willingly chose to sign his life away, and his card got pulled when he hit an IED in his Humvee, okay? And that IED gave him TBI, which is one of the most scariest illnesses there is, and PTSD, which he then battled for the next 15 years.
PTSD is equally as scary almost.
It
sometimes.
is.
I mean, it really ruins people's lives.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to fight.
Yeah.
It's really hard to fight. It's like battle leaves scars in your brain.
What, PTSD?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm very
but
familiar with PTSD.
I saw that Crafts and Crime said Brent's name was not released before Bryan said it in the body cam footage,
That's
which could
wow.
actually be
Interesting.
possible. That could actually be possible. I'm not sure how we would verify that, but if you think about
I
it,
can verify it. I have some information where there's a date that is released, and it's locally first, and it's talking about the cops. I know what report and news source that's out there. We can verify it at least
I'll just take note of it so that we
reliably
remember, because
verify it.
I'm very curious about that.
Yep. And just remember, you guys, we aren't out here to be a gossip channel. We aren't out here to be talking about whatever's hot out there. Otherwise, we would have covered this topic months ago when we got the FOIA. I believe we got the FOIA in September of last year. And
we got it like literally at the same time that Lana got it. We just chose not to talk about it. Like literally right after it all became public, and they decided not to press charges against the police officer involved, is when we did the FOIA request as everyone else did.
Yeah.
And we got it. We just didn't feel comfortable talking about it.
Well, and not that only, but we focus on objectivity here, you guys. So I'm not trying to be the leader in coming out with information first. We're trying to look into these cases objectively, right? I see us more as the same kind of goals as what's that project called, the Innocence Project, right? We're here to look into and judge and grade the work of the police officers to make sure that justice has actually been had, just like looking into the evidence of Bryan Kohberger. How do we know that this is being done correct? And anybody that claims that, like, how dare you question good faith law enforcement and the judicial system? Look, the Innocence Project, you realize there are multiple Innocence Projects.
For like every state.
Innocence LA, there's the Innocence Project nationally, and there's one in each state. If our judicial system and law enforcement didn't need to be looked into, none of those would exist, you guys. None of them. There would be no market for that.
I mean, it's necessary. There needs to be those kinds of organizations and conversations among the public. At no point should the public be becoming passive, where we just, watch the news and don't care what's going on out there in the world. Yeah, 1984 style.
Yep.
We don't want to become that. And the only way we don't is by using our voices and caring and being a part of it.
Yeah. But what we can promise you, no matter what evidence we find, our promise is that we will always talk about every topic and or person that is the focus respectfully. Always. Always, always. Or postulating. Sure. But so with the Brent Kopaka stuff, going back into it, we know he was on the lease, right?
Mm-hmm.
So after the shot happened, after he was pronounced gone, okay, they found, family and friends found his phone on the counter in the kitchen, wiped.
That's really bizarre.
It's strange, but I want to be fair, right? Because we're focused on being objective here. Could he have been freaking out, thinking he was being followed, thinking he was being tracked, thinking everyone always, oh man, I've encountered a lot of people that that they feel like their phone is hacked, but really their software's like having a glitch. Something's wrong with their hardware. That happens to everybody. Okay. You don't know. Symptoms can be similar in both, but do you think that he could have wiped the phone himself?
Yeah, so I think one way that it could have been, say,
Wiped is factory reset. I see somebody asking. So when I say wiped, I mean factory reset. It's supposed to erase everything that's visible within the phone, not taking into account the SD card, cloud services, and any online storage. So effectively, it should look like it looks when it's pulled out of the box.
yeah. So I think there's a possibility that he could have wiped it himself, knowing the cops are there. Wiped it because he was, using drugs and other things and doing things that maybe he
Yeah.
shouldn't have, and was like, well, I'm not going to be implicated in anything, so I'll just wipe my phone for when they inevitably arrest me. Or yeah, it could have been him being scared he was hacked or something. What if there is no 911 call? Or
Then how did he get there? How did the police get there?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't know either. So one thing we're gonna watch on here.
But what about the cops wiping it? That's a possibility too.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is like it's taking a leap, you guys.
The cops could have wiped it.
So I don't think that's okay, and I think we all know what that implies here, and it's wrong. So it is entirely speculative, and I have no idea. I don't think that happened. The point is I don't know, and I think it's a possibility. But they would have to have his code and things like that. So
not if it's factory reset, not if it's wiped. There is no code on it.
no, you can't factory reset the phone without his code.
Depending on what kind of phone it is, you can. Yeah, I can reset any phone. I can do anything to any phone.
So you could reset my iPhone without my passcode?
Yes, as long as I had a computer with me, yes. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely I could.
Well,
there's not a phone I couldn't get past, no matter what is on there. However, where's the value in doing that? You guys got to remember, because when I say stuff like that, a lot of people, it makes people nervous, right? Thinking, well, shoot, why do I even have a code on here? Look, the people who got to worry about stuff like that are like leaders of the world, okay? Otherwise, nobody's looking for my information. Nobody's trying to get into my phone. That kind of stuff is not how like fraudulent people that are trying to steal from you and things like that. That's not the approach they take. But yes, you can get past any phone. So I do think it's possible. They had enough law enforcement officers there. They had their rolling truck that has everything,
all their gear, their SWAT gear and all that.
Yeah, their rolling SWAT unit.
Did they have a surveillance van?
I don't think surveillance, but a
SWAT
vehicle it has all of that. That would have the drone, that would have the pod for the sniper, that has everything, literally everything in it. And yes, they did have that. So did they have did law enforcement have the technology with them to be able to do that? Yes, absolutely, without a doubt they did. But here's another possibility, you guys. Did Brent Kopaka call 911?
Well, that's where this gets confusing. Obviously, no 911 call. We have no idea what was on it, other than they say there was a hostage situation, and that Brent was saying he was going to kill all of his roommates.
Yes. Yeah.
And then after that and all of this happened, that isn't as solid anymore from the interviews with the roommates and other people. It doesn't. Did any of them say they made the 911 call?
No. None of the roommates confirmed they made the 911 call. None of them. Well, there's only 2, but yeah.
Did they say that he was armed and they were
Yes.
felt threatened?
Yes. Yep. They do say that he was armed. They do say that he was freaking out, pacing. They felt threatened.
Did they say they were being held hostage?
No. Nope.
Did
nope.
they
And the cop
say-
even asked if they felt like they were being held hostage, and both of them said no.
Did they say that he was said verbally that he was going to kill them? Did he threaten them verbally, like say, "I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna hurt you, I'm gonna do this, whatever"?
To be honest, I don't
Or I
remember
want
that.
to.
I need to triple check, and we'll do that on the next video for sure. But I don't think so. But one video I do want to watch, though, is the first call that we have, right? Because we don't have the 911 call, which you guys, that is like one of the most important things in any situation, in my opinion, is listening to the 911 call. So here, let's pull up the dispatch call here. So I don't remember whose channel it's on. Okay, so JLR
investigates. Want to give you a
hang on, you guys. So shout out to JLR for this dispatch call. I think this is what everyone's talking about, the call. Okay, so let's listen to this.
Weapons offense, 1000 Lighthouse Street, 311 A.
Go ahead.
Third party report that there's someone pacing outside the DRP's bedroom with a
Interrupt.
2039.
And 468, get don't have to identify the hole there.
Subject in the bedroom is a George 20th. And then a Brent, unknown last, 35-year-old male.
And which one? What's the other?
First of Brent is outside the bedroom. Possibly. When 47, clear the other call. Up to weapon. 24,
406 in traffic.
2041.
Coleman, 468, I see the one male got out of the apartment. You avoided contacting you on here. You can get up there, move the boys away from the building.
Up. I'll call back.
Stay through. Walking at the middle. 406 right now, later.
2043. Responding units. I found a subject with a similar name. It's should have found.
Copy. I feel like turning on and off in any kind of light. So I got the direction right.
Tonight.
468, any luck on? Finding that other person that got out.
My partner's talking to him now. I'm trying to get exact location. 47 in the area.
It's Colin 406.
Good.
If there's any available WGPD units, if they could respond from Bishop guy parking near the perimeter of the building and walk it.
2045. 468 Pullman.
Go ahead.
John in the back parking lot. Dark gray jacket, blue pants. Red black striped shirt. He's the one sticking with my partner. He's the one that got out.
Copy. 069 already. We'll contact him. Right. 4668. Correct. 4768.
Go ahead.
I believe it's going to be the top floor at your end. That's all light coming on and off. If you want to keep an eye on that. Yeah, here, over here. Oh, we're good.
Copy.
447, 406.
Go ahead.
They're saying the windows were parking lot side for May, and so they're not entirely sure which windows belong to that apartment.
Copy was here repeat department.
I believe they're describing it being between the two stairwells over top.
I guess they were talking about Brent Kopaka
My mic was muted. My bad, guys. Interesting. I was muted, so you guys didn't get an echo. So I don't know if you guys caught that in the beginning, but they said a third source, like a third party source, is how they got this information. What does that mean? What does that mean? I don't understand what that means. I don't get it. I have no idea what a third party source is. Yeah. I was muted so you guys didn't hear my mouth breathing. But so how they got there is strange. It's strange how they got there. Really strange how they got there. The phone being wiped, that's strange. Bryan Kohberger talking about Brent Kopaka during both Indiana pullovers, that's strange. That's strange. You know, for people that are out there and watching this that feel some type of way about talking about this topic, you got to be able to look at these objectively and understand that looking at these things, it is strange. It's weird. However, there is a lot of strange in this case. There is a lot of weird in this case, right? So it doesn't mean that us talking about it means he has to be connected in some way. And you guys, what if there was some kind of connection that is not a negative connection, but a positive connection? There's other types of connections out there. I've wondered that too about the swatting. And that's why we gave the definition, you guys. And for anyone watching this that didn't get to see the first video, please, you guys, make sure you hit that like button and leave a comment under the video. The comments are a big deal. I can't even explain to you how much of a big deal leaving a comment is. And I read every single comment every single time without fail. There is not a single comment I haven't missed unless it was blocked by the comment moderator that's built in, but that thing even blocks my comments. So on that video, if even you leave like a thumbs up, a hi, a hello, whatever, that is huge for us at Thought Riot Podcast. And you guys are all part of Thought Riot Podcast. So please leave a comment. Please hit that thumbs up button. And we appreciate you big time. But yeah, I think that looking at this case, there's some undeniable weird connections here. The connection with them living so close to each other on either coast, that is strange, you guys. That is strange. The US is a big area, okay? And to live within a stone's throw of each other on either coast, weird. Really weird. Could it be coincidental because Brent Kopaka drove all over the place? Yeah, it could. He was currently dealing with a DUI, though. I don't know if you guys got that. He received a DUI while he was in Nevada, and his license was taken away, and he was going through the process of getting it back. Oh. So really strange, you guys. Strange. Why he would stay in that area, I don't know. But in order to look at a case and this crime objectively, while taking into account what the general community has concerns or drawing connections to, right? We got to be able to look at everything to then see like how many realistic connections are here. Are there any realistic connections? Or after looking at all the evidence objectively, can we safely move on to another person, another suspect or topic? And just to let you guys know, we are actually covering Emma and Demetrius this week. So make sure, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, you guys, because we're going to be talking about them this week. They are going to be a premiere either tomorrow or Wednesday. And we are talking about Jack Showalter as well. So, but yeah, so going back to Brent Kopaka, I have no idea where that 911 call is, and it feels really strange that they won't release that. I don't know if this is just evidence that, you know, in that part of the country, for whatever reason, they don't like to release 911 calls. I don't know. I don't know if the attention of the Idaho 4 scared them to where they didn't want to release the 911 call. I'm not really sure. One thing I questioned, and somebody correct me, because I have some military experience, but I was not in the military myself. I have my experience from friends and partying there and family members. But if it was proven that he ended himself, does that change anything with like military life insurance coverages or anything like that? If he were to call the 911 call himself, and I'm not saying that's what happened. I have no idea, you guys. I'm just curious, what are some benefits or what are some reasons why the police wouldn't come out and just openly share it? You know, is there a good faith reason why they wouldn't come out and share this openly? Someone saying yes. If you guys are in the military, help me out here. Does ending yourself alter the military life insurance or payout for burial or anything like that? Hey. No payout. Okay. I know for private insurance that affects it. Like if you get life insurance through your employer or privately, I know that impacts it, but I wasn't sure about anything else. All right. So, oh yeah, that's a really good point. The fact that he was diagnosed with PTSD. So we did some research into some of the people that he was in the military with, and I'll wait till Malia's back to share, you know, the confirmed details about it. But Brent Kopaka was in the military with a man who also was involved in this situation that Brent Kopaka was. He ended up getting out of the military and recovering from that. And I'll be sure and show this information in the next video too. But he overcame his PTSD and started a company, an investigative company, where he focused on, and that's why I need Malia to answer. It's something having to do with racism. Okay. He focused on hunting down like racist gangs or something like that. And Malia was wondering, could he have been employed by this company? And that's part of the reason why he was traveling all over the US, because he had a really close connection to one of his military buddies that had this company that needed investigators across the US, you know? Once she's back, we'll dig into that, though. I'll have her talk kind of through that information. So with the Bryan Kohberger Indiana stops, Brian, I don't know if you guys picked this up in the video, but Bryan Kohberger was a WSU student, right? He was working there. He was a student. Malia's here. She just needed to go to the restroom or do something personal. So she had to step away for a minute. But Bryan Kohberger was an employee there and a student there, meaning his cell phone number was attached to the WSU campus alert system. And in that alert system, when something's going on, like what was going on with the standoff here, then they send out an alert to every number that's on that list. Okay. So could Bryan Kohberger have known about that because of that list? Because of that alert. I'm sorry, I said list. Because of that alert. Could
Wait,
Bryan
what?
Kohberger's phone number have been on that list? And when the standoff started happening, they sent out an alert. And did he find out about that situation from that?
What, Brent's name?
Not Brent's name, just the situation.
I mean, yeah, that's what everybody assumed. And didn't he actually say that in the body cam footage?
Nope.
Something about an alert?
Nope. I don't think so. But it's interesting to try and find other reasons for these weird connections. And I think that's the only fair way to be objective, right? When we're looking at any of these weird connections, I personally try and come up with one, let's talk about why the community finds it weird that there are connections there, right? Two, let's find reasons why it could happen coincidentally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that could be a good one. The one I have a really hard time with is the fact that they lived right next to each other on either side of the country. That is so strange. Like, I cannot emphasize that enough.
Yeah, it's weird, but I mean, I think the connection for me is only strongest when we're talking about them both being associated with WSU. That is a stronger connection to me than
Yeah, I mean, that engulfs
coming from the
that.
same state.
That engulfs that, though.
I don't think so.
Because they aren't just coming from the same state. They literally lived by each other.
Yeah, you said it was like 40 minutes away.
In PA, yeah, 40 minutes away, and in Washington, 15 minutes away. Yeah. So that's same town-ish.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. It is not the same state. It is the same area, the same cities. Weird. But I started talking about why, when you stepped away, his friend's company, the Investigative company, and I wanted you to talk on that a little bit.
A little bit, or like divulge all of it?
No, just talk a little bit about what that company does and why it makes sense if that he could have employed trying to help one of his friends working there, you know?
Well, I need to dig into it a little bit more. I didn't know I was going to be bringing it up on this show. But
Just lightly the coverage.
but so I found basically some people who were friends of Kopaka, who were in the service with him. And it's I wouldn't say a full-on fact, but the facts that I have found are very convincing, and I think it's true. I mean, I've checked it out pretty thoroughly, but there's still more digging I want to do. Anyway, I found some people who were in the service at the same time as him, connected to a friend who was in the same infantry. What was it again? Airborne Division? 82nd Airborne Division, who served with Kopaka, says they know Kopaka. And he is associated with people who were also in the service at the same time and have went on to become investigators, trying to take down basically neo-Nazis. And Russian troll farms that specifically target veterans to try to make them become extremists. That is their literal mission in life, goal in life, at least at the moment, which is interesting.
It is
And
interesting.
he is starting his own, or has started his own organization with that goal in mind.
Yeah. It's interesting because we wondered if Brent Kopaka could have been employed in that, and that could be some of the reason why he was traveling.
I wondered that, but I don't know if we have anything like that could indicate that yet.
Yeah.
There's still more looking into it I want to do
Yeah.
before I like fully present it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also don't want to, like, as long as the people that we're talking about are public people, then I'll be okay talking about it. But if they're not and they're live pretty private lives, I don't know if I want to bring up some of them.
Yeah. What do you think about the comment if those Steve Gonsalves texts are real about the fact that, well, some Brent Kopaka would never be in that area because they wouldn't hang out with some random 36-year-old.
They don't need to be hanging out with him, though.
I agree. That he doesn't have to know them personally. Number two, he was a student, according to some statements at WSU, and he was living with students.
Yeah, he was.
So he was in that life. He was there, even at 36.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. I think it's interesting.
I agree.
I think it's really, really interesting. All right, so let's move on to this, okay? And I'm just gonna give the brief break. Hang on.
I dug a whole lot deeper with the connections and the Nazi hunting group. I did not expect any of that. Like I went so deep down a rabbit hole. I was like, I can't believe I found this. This is strange. But again, there's more work to be done on it.
Okay. This is another strange one.
It is. It was originally Drip Drop who drew this connection. At least that's where I first saw it. And I have to say, it's weird. It's weird.
It's weird. It's weird. It is very strange. And I've tried to explain it away. Okay, what are we talking about here? Okay, you guys. For everyone that we have a lot of viewers, you guys, that aren't a part of the normal YouTube cycle of true crime content creators that really know about this stuff. Okay, so you got to remember, a lot of times we got to start at step one for everyone, because we have a lot of people that have came to YouTube to take part in the chat that don't normally use YouTube for their source of media and have come here just for Thought Riot podcasts from other areas of the world. But what is this? This is a shrine that was part of Brent Kopaka's knife collection. Apparently, he had a pretty substantial knife collection.
I'll be right back while you explain that.
He had a pretty substantial knife collection, and there were animals going missing in the Moscow area. Now, remember, he's from Washington, 15 minutes away, but in the Moscow area, around the time of the crime and about 6 months before the Idaho 4 massacre, there were animals going missing, being mutilated, and then being used to, I don't know, scare people, gross people out, something. But they were being left on the front doorsteps of sororities. They were being left all over the place in Moscow, okay? And that is you guys can look that up, okay? That is not speculation. That was going on 100%. Well, there was an animal named Buddy. It was the dog of a local elderly couple, an older couple. I think they were in their like 60s, maybe 70s. I need to check, but they were an older couple, like just them at home and their dog. And their dog's name was Buddy, and it was a small dog. And the dog went missing one day, never came home, got out. And they ended up finding the dog mutilated, just mutilated, you guys, skinned, a knife used against it, and unfortunately, you know, its life ended. Yeah, rest in peace, Buddy. The dog's name was Buddy. So when you hear people in the community talking about Buddy, that's who they're talking about from the Moscow area. But Buddy had a blue collar on, and the type of blue looks very, very, very similar to this blue in the picture. So true crime creators like Crime Circus, who Malia was talking about, have drawn the connection that maybe this is Buddy's leash. Which, right, when I'm sitting here trying to be objective and I'm sitting here trying to be fair, what are some other options this could be? Because I always want to come up with other options. Could this have been given as a gift? And somebody just is really awful at making a bow? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But this doesn't look like normal bow making material either. To me, it literally looks like a leash. So it's really strange. And I saw someone in the chat say this as well, but it looks like there's something on the blade, on the silver part of the blade. So it's a really strange situation, you guys. And again, I am not suggesting that Brent Kopaka was part of that. I would not do that, but we need to be able to look at the evidence objectively, and we talk about what the community finds interesting here on Thought Riot Podcast. So could Brent Kopaka have been involved in something like that? I don't know. I'm not sure. We're going to keep digging and we're going to keep looking. And remember, Brent Kopaka was primarily on the Washington side of things, not on the Moscow side of things. So it's an interesting topic. It's an interesting topic, to say the least. And here, give me 1 second. I'll show you guys. Idaho, Buddy, dog. Okay, here we go. Hang on. That is Buddy, you guys. That is Buddy. What do you think about that blue? Here. Right? You guys see that blue? What do you guys think? Look, when I'm looking at the situation objectively, because we're worried about offending somebody because Brent Kopaka was a hero, I don't think that should interrupt our objectivity. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're doing ourselves a disservice if we pretend not to see things. We are then making mistakes that the cops make if we say, this person, as far as I'm concerned, you guys, Brent Kopaka gave his life already for this country. His life was forever changed and different ever since that happened with the IED.
Yeah, it was. That's what
Forever.
that's what I said. Like, did he ever actually make it out of the war?
I hear you, and I don't know. I don't know. Strange.
Yeah, but the collar, you know, it looks like the same exact color. Yes, it's different lighting. It looks like the same color as whatever's tied around that knife. And when you look at the machete, one end of it is really frayed.
Yep, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, what material, like, why would you tie that around a machete? That type of material that looks exactly like a dog collar. It even looks like the same width.
Look, while
Like, why that material? Why tie that bow around it? Like,
yeah, while you were, doing your thing on the phone or whatever, that's exactly what I was saying. Is like, in any situation, I try and come up with a contrarian argument always, just to prove that objectively there are other possibilities, right? So when I'm looking at this situation, I'm trying, you guys, to come up with another argument, and somebody give me one, right? Could this have been a gift? One, it doesn't feel like it could be, because one, it looks like the blade is used, and two, whoever made that bow is like, it's frayed, it's weird, it's strange, it's a strange situation. Very, 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 very strange situation.
it is.
Hey,
You
it
know-
looks like we have Dago in the chat. Hey.
Yes. Hello, Dago.
Is another true crime content creator, you guys. Check him out if you get a chance. But yeah, can you come up with something else?
Unfortunately, no. That's why it's so weird. Like, what could that be from? I started thinking, is there anything military issued that could have came off of? No, it's not the right color. Like, what could that come off of that you would want to keep that? Did Brent just happen to have a dog that had the same exact collar?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Can it be a bogus picture? I don't think Buddies is, but maybe, right? Because this was in mainstream media, you guys. This story was about the couple, because they were trying to find out who hey, all right, Dago coming through with a super chat. Thanks, guys. Good to be here. We are super happy to have you here.
Yes.
Also, and ZJ, Bryan Kohberger's or Brent Kopaka's are enforcement for Fed drug runners, PA to Idaho. That's interesting. I made an argument a while ago that I didn't think that area, a general area of the country, is a big drug running operation. A lot of people that are local there responded saying, no, actually it is. There is a highway here that is used to get up into Canada. Other than that, like local to Pullman and Moscow, it's known that people would go over to Washington, right? Because that's a very loose state when it comes to substances and drugs, purchase substances and drugs, bring them back to Moscow and sell them for double or triple the cost.
Yep.
So,
And you're exactly right. There is cartel activity in that area. It's because it's a trafficking area. I'm not saying there's literally big, heavy hitters in Moscow. No, it's they are moving it up north to Canada.
yeah.
And that is kind of an in-between point. There's quite a bit of trafficking in their area, actually, like quite a bit.
And ZJ coming through again. All right. We appreciate that. The address of the skinned dog is also 1122 combination. That's interesting.
Yeah, he said
too.
It is interesting. And he commented that earlier and said it was 2112.
Oh, okay. So their address was 2112. And that's interesting because if you're looking at a situation objectively, right? Let's just take Brent Kopaka's name off of it. When you're looking at somebody that's going through a very traumatic situation and they had not only TBI but PTSD, could they be going through a situation where they feel like they're being watched, even though that is just a symptom of the TBI and PTSD, and they are actively looking for these things like numerology, like, things that tend to be more tin hat type topics, because they feel like there's something going on, right? And when you feel like something's going on, you're going to continue looking for something until you find something. Meaning, if you don't see things obviously going on around you, then you're going to keep looking closer and closer and closer and closer and closer until you find something. And what I mean by that is we've said this from the beginning that in any case, not even having to do with 1122, but in any case, whatever is important to the suspect should be important to the investigators looking into the case.
Yep.
So if we have a suspect that is interested in numerology, then we need to be interested in numerology. And the only way to find that out is to look.
I'm really curious how the police ended up ruling out this situation with Buddy to the Idaho murders.
I don't agree.
I'm really curious how they ruled that out without even having a suspect. Like they didn't even have a suspect and said, oh, by the way, Buddy wasn't connected. Well, how do you know that?
Amazing question.
How do you even know that? That makes no sense. You don't even know who skinned Buddy. You don't know who hurt that dog, and you didn't know who hurt the kids.
I agree with you. That is such a good question.
And all the other animals in Moscow, they still don't know. Nobody has ever been suspected or arrested for any of the animal mutilations.
And here's another interesting thing too. So at the Sigma Chi area, that was one of the locations that had residue and or animals within its general area too. However, remember, somebody else could have left it there, but it was also left on the doorstep of a front door
of specifically sororities and fraternities. They left bloody messes on their front doorsteps.
Yeah.
And apparently the sorority got it worse, which is interesting. So it makes you wonder, like it feels like somebody wanted to cause terror in the Moscow community, honestly. It sounds like somebody wanted to create some kind of fear and terror. And then it all somehow ended in these murders. And then after that, you don't hear any more about it. I haven't seen anybody point out, and when I have looked at the police logs, there's nothing about being called about animals or anything like that.
Which is
It all stopped from what I've heard and seen. Now, I would like to look through the logs more, but oh my gosh, it's so much
I
information.
know.
There are a lot of people who've been watching them very closely, though, and I would think if there was some kind of animal mutilation again, somebody would have pointed it out by now.
Yeah. Yeah. I see a few people talking about this. So with the mutilated animals, that, like I said just a little bit ago, the two people that tend to be connected with this from people in the true crime community is Brent Kopaka and Jack Showalter, and we're covering both of them this week. But there is nothing confirming either of them, you guys, either of them. Jack Showalter, there is nothing that says he was removed from his fraternity for the mutilation of animals.
I'm
I
not
can't
even
find
sure
it
where that
anywhere.
I don't even know where that came from.
In the community, that's what people say is the reason why he was removed from his fraternity. One, I can't find anything saying he was ever removed from the fraternity. Two, I definitely don't see anything that I can find myself saying that he was involved in the animal mutilations. Now, what's interesting, what's objective here is that there is evidence Jack Showalter used or was very familiar with large blades, large knives. Okay. Brent Kopaka has evidence that he was very familiar and or used and had a collection of large blades. Now, those two things do not make somebody guilty. Those two things do not make somebody more likely to cause a crime or be involved in a crime. And honestly, I personally would feel like somebody that's showing off their knife collection is less likely to be the person.
Probably.
I just think that
I don't know.
unless
It's
they had a
kinda hard
knife
to know.
collection and then all of a sudden after a crime occurred, then they start showing it off because of that weird ego recognition thing that,
Yeah.
serial enders tend to do, which the Idaho 4 crime was looked at as being more similar to a serial ender than it is to a mass murderer.
Right.
Yeah.
We got a super chat, by the way.
Yeah, CJ coming through again. The 4 students set the cops up with the feds because of fear. Like because something was going on there. I'm not sure that connection. I'll look for another response in here.
So have you seen any? I did see Mish Girl say that there was luminol testing at Jack Showalter's house.
Oh, there was?
The night of the homicides, like once they were investigating. Had you heard that anywhere?
No, and I would be surprised. That doesn't sound right, you guys. Luminol testing is not step 1 in an investigation.
And they also didn't know about Showalter yet, did they? Being with him
No.
last, because the grub truck video, Olivia got that.
Exactly. They would have had no idea about any of that. They would not have had the footage of them walking where the I told Adam everything. That takes a little bit of time. They would, number one, have to determine, and remember, you guys, they didn't get investigators on scene until 4 p.m. 4 p.m. So the likelihood that they made the connections, drew the lines to be able to get out in the community and start talking to people more than just neighbors during that first or second day is probably pretty rare. But it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, new member Mary. All right. Welcome
well,
to Thought Riot Podcast.
If you have photos of it, Mish Girl, we would love to see them. Because if that's true, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like what? How?
Oh, yeah.
Why? How did? Like what?
I didn't even finish the rest of my statement, but so let's say the cops do get to a point where they're targeting a potential suspect, right? Their step one wouldn't be luminol.
Mm-hmm.
That is later on. So like the luminol test in 1122, you guys, wasn't even done until not the first sweep. I think it was the second or third sweep of the house. And for anyone in the chat, welcome. We're super happy that you're here with us, and hit that like button, please. If you're having a good time, it does so much for us. I can't even express how much it helps us out.
Yes.
And leave a comment under the videos. That's an even bigger help out. That is completely free, you guys. And for anyone that wants to continue the Thought Riot, we have Patreon, and we have a free tier, which is awesome because you don't have to depend on the YouTube alerts when new content is coming out. I just posted the Discord invite. If you're not on Discord, Discord is like a chat, like the chat we have going on here with different rooms and places to submit investigations and suggestions and talk with us one-on-one and things like that. But you got to have an invite, and it is completely free. So if you click that invite and you're a little bit lost on there, I always tell people go on YouTube and search, Discord walkthrough, and that'll give you the walkthrough of Discord on there.
Did you say welcome to Mary?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Welcome.
Good.
Welcome.
But I guess you're not actually a new member because you got your month badge. So thank you for renewing, Mary.
Yes, absolutely.
We're happy to have you.
But
and I did post the email in the chat. So just to let you know.
Yes.
But I unfortunately have to step away again really quick. Sorry, guys.
Yes. But yeah, the luminol is definitely interesting when it comes to Jack Showalter. Another big thing too, you guys, is if Brent Kopaka could be connected to any of these situations in the Moscow, Idaho area, this was a college town, meaning there should be lots of cameras, right? And again, this works for Bryan Kohberger too, but the big difference is Brent Kopaka didn't have a car. Does that mean he didn't know somebody locally that had one? No, it doesn't mean that. But he was known to be on foot all over the place. And she actually has some family here in the studio. So she's having to step away on and off. So, but could he have gotten a ride over there and then walked? Yes. But with this being a tech college town area, I feel like there would have been cameras. They could have or would have been picked up on camera. The weird side of the coin. Brent Kopaka had a lot of alone time where nobody can account for his whereabouts. So, kind of strange, right? But what's interesting there is he was dealing with PTSD and TBI, you guys, and going through some alcohol addiction type issues on top of it. He was self-medicating because he didn't feel like he had the support to manage that. And Mary coming through with a $5 super chat. We appreciate you. You are awesome. She says, I love it here. Keep it up. We love that you love it here. And we just hope to do a good job in sharing the community's opinions, thoughts, ideas, and everything in between. Because you guys, all of you, yes, you right there, you are Thought Riot Podcast, and we appreciate you, and we want to know what you think. And part of the axiom of Thought Riot Podcast is that there are no off-limits topics. That doesn't exist here, okay? There might be off-limits topics in mainstream media. There are not off-limit topics here, right? We are owned by you guys. You guys own Thought Riot Podcast. So we're going to talk about what you want to hear. And, you know, we're going to go the direction of the viewers. So we appreciate you and, you know, just look forward to talking about anything and everything respectfully and objectively. Yes. I'm assuming you're talking about hackers. Yes. You do own us. You do own us. We see you guys as the owners of Thought Riot Podcast. But yeah, I don't remember where I was at here, what topic I was on, but Kopaka didn't have a car. He was in the middle of purchasing a friend's car, a neighbor's car, but he didn't have a vehicle there himself. And he had a lot of alone time. That's where I was, the alone time. He had a lot of alone time, you guys, where nobody can account for his whereabouts. However, I've had a lot of friends, a lot of family that have gone through addiction issues, PTSD issues. I've had to deal with that PTSD myself, so I understand it, and I didn't even have it severe. But that alone time that we see coming from Brent Kopaka is pretty common. It's pretty common to want to separate yourself from society to get through your thoughts and feelings and whatever you have going on. And you know, I think it's pretty obvious he was self-medicating too, based on eyewitness accounts and people that knew him. So that's just another addition on top of why he could or would be alone, you know, unfortunately. The Brent Kopaka story and possible connection with the Idaho 4 is interesting. And there are some very strange connections that honestly, I was shocked to see. But most importantly, it is very sad. I think it is horribly, horribly, horribly sad to see somebody commit his entire life to his country and everything he believes in, and then to be let down in this way. To be let down in this way. It was really sad. Really sad. I feel really bad for him when I'm listening to friends that are making statements, and just understanding what happened to him, right? The fact that he was hit with an IED, it wasn't even anything that you could prevent, right? I think when you're in a gunfight with someone, and you're military, for the most part, I think people that are really good at it, right? Like our like Rangers or the Navy SEAL teams or whatever, they know the best areas to hole up. They know how to angle around corners. They know all the statistical advantages to reduce the likelihood of them being hit in a gunfight. When you get hit by an IED in a Hummer, there is nothing you can do. Completely and 100% out of his hands. And then TBI, PTSD, that's really sad. It's really unfortunate and really sad.
Hey, did you ever post the membership link?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, I'm going to post it because I did see somebody requested us to post it. But so you're just talking about in general, Kopaka being failed by the system?
Yeah, I just mean his story in general, that it's just a really sad story talking about this. It doesn't reduce any of the strange connections or anything like that. But it's really sad. Yeah, he was a paratrooper. He was part of the 82nd Airborne Division.
Do you want to pull up his obituary?
Yeah, we can pull up his obituary.
It's a good resource for who he was, what he did, you know.
And remember, you guys, like, our whole goal today is to give a very, very thorough understanding of why Brent Kopaka is connected to Idaho 4 based on the interests of the community.
Yeah.
So hopefully we hit that nail on the head. Yeah.
His birthday was October 4th, 1986.
Yep. October 4th, 1986 and December 15th.
Isn't that funny? His father has the same initials as JFK.
Really?
John F. Kopaka. JFK.
Yeah.
But he proudly served in the U.S. Army from 2005 to 2009 in the 2nd Battalion, 508th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 4th Brigade Combat Team, 82nd Airborne Division. He was awarded the Purple Heart for his service in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. By volunteering to serve in the United States Army during time of war, Brent proved himself to not only be a man of great dedication, but also a selfless servant of the people of our nation. Brent epitomized the values and standards that all paratroopers strive to achieve. Brent's valor in the face of the enemy is a great credit to his character. And it talks about his PTSD. And you know that he lost that fight basically.
Yeah.
Sorry, my voice cracked.
Those who knew Brent knew him as loving, caring, and a very loyal friend. He was loved by his family and friends. Brent always enjoyed remembering people on their birthdays and special occasions. Brent enjoyed the outdoors. He would send pictures and updates to friends and loved ones of new places and new adventures he was on. He loved to experience new places, so it was hard for him to settle in one place. Brent made friends everywhere he went while always staying in touch with the old. Over the course of the past 16 years, Brent fought a courageous battle against PTSD, but in the end, he couldn't break free. Please learn all you can about post-traumatic stress disorder so you will have an understanding of the toll it takes on our veterans, their families, and their friends. Make sure your loved ones seek the help they need. Yep. Oh. There aren't any. Got it. Yeah, it's just really sad, you guys. It's really, really sad. And you know, I do think that it's okay again to talk about the possible connection that could be had in a situation like this with someone like Brent Kopaka, but it just needs to be talked about respectfully. And, you know,
It does. It absolutely does. But, you know, why do you think they took the step to shooting him?
I can't tell you. That is
'Cause
what
the
drives
prosecutor-
me crazy,
The
man.
prosecutor decided that the police, their decision was justified. But I don't think anybody who's watched that footage that I have heard talk about it can find a single reason why it was justified. Because it didn't seem
There were no hostages.
there were no hostages. It
None.
didn't seem he was like, you know, they were watching him and he was like reaching for a gun. You know, like there was it just it's not like he was in front of them and they made the split decision out of fear to pull the trigger. This was a sniper. They green lighted him. Why?
Yeah, and
This isn't a split second decision.
yeah, snipers don't decide to pull the trigger.
No, they are told to.
Correct. Yep. They are just the weapon. Looks like we had a couple new members come through here. Hang on. All right. Summer Jade became a YouTube member. That is awesome. We appreciate you. Super happy you're here. And
Yeah, I think Summer renewed.
Yeah.
1 month badge.
and then
YB Negative is new, a
Yes.
newbie. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I agree, Dago. I don't know that there's any way to justify it either, unless we're missing a piece of the puzzle. But you know, a lot of these, I mean, we have the full body cam footage. We have so many reports that have been released, and I still, even after all that, you know, and it's been a while since I don't remember details that well if it's been more than like a month. Like I'm
Yeah.
not going to remember the details very well.
It-
But when I was listening to all of it, when other creators were covering it initially, I couldn't think of a single reason based off of all those reports and body cam footage and what we have on top of it.
I can't think of a single reason because you guys and we'll be watching some of these clips over this investigation into this. I'll pull some of the really important clips so you guys can see it. But the roommates were outside and interviewed by the police officers with body cam on. And we have the audio and all that. And they said that they were not being held hostage, that they were, you know, scared of the situation, but not being held hostage, both of them. And that they were out of there. Like they were out of there. So why they felt like they needed to pull the trigger, I'm not sure. Anytime I've ever seen a situation where somebody single is holed up, right? Most times they will throw in sprays, pepper sprays, mace, and use rubber bullets from a sniper. And I've seen situations where they've used like 10 rubber bullets back to back to back to back until the person finally was like, I'm done with this. I'm tired of getting hit by rubber bullets, and lays down. You know what I mean? Like I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I feel like there was no reason to use lethal force like that. And they were in a standoff for a long time. It was many hours. And by all accounts, he wasn't complying. But at the same time, he also wasn't becoming aggressive.
Yeah.
As far as we
They
know,
do claim they use gas. Thank you. In the report, they claim they use gas. You just don't see it. So
right.
yeah. And they also claim that in the report, Brent Kopaka had his handgun and broke out a window and literally waved the gun outside. But if you guys are asking me, when cops write a report, like they need to be able to justify and prove certain situations. So it's interesting that nobody else says that, but the cops do. Like, why would somebody be like, oh, hey, look, the cops are finally here. Hey, look, cops, look at my gun. Look what I got. You know what I mean? It's interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's sad.
Even if so what? That's why they shot him, is because he was waving the gun around, or that just happened at some point?
I don't think there's a justified reason why they shot him,
Because
but
because they went for a long time in this standoff, and it almost feels like they just get sick of it and are like, all right, just kill him. Because he's
does kind of feel
he's
like that.
barricaded in there for a long time. That's what they claim, that he's barricaded in there. And it's like, he's not getting aggressive. He's not trying to make moves. There's nobody in there. Apparently he waved his gun around at some point, but I don't know about if when that was, you know. So I don't know. Like, I'm just questioning what was the trigger to make the shot at that moment. And it went on for so long. Like, did they just get sick of it? Like, we don't hear anything. I never heard anything that was like, okay, like, he's making moves, we need to shoot now.
I have no idea. I can't put it together. I don't understand it, and I don't think I'm going to understand it. Regina coming through with a $5 super chat says, I think this just shows us to stay far away from over there. I've seen them treat murders better. Ruby Ridge was days a week. He was only at 7 hours. I agree with you. Only at 7 hours. I agree with you. I don't quite understand it. I don't quite understand it either. I don't know if a decision was made because it looks bad for the universities. I don't know, and I don't understand, you guys. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but there's a couple really weird things and connections here. And I think these really weird things and connections are the reason why people in the true crime community are so obsessed with the possible connection of Brent Kopaka with the Idaho 4. And I would be unfair to myself if I pretended like I didn't see these things. You know what I mean? I see them. I absolutely see them, you guys. And it's strange. It is strange.
And I wish we could get more answers. I really do.
I agree. I wish we could get more answers. I agree. I just hope that we do get more answers.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like, anybody's going to be digging into, his death other than content creators.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can eventually. Hopefully they'll get more lax with the FOIAs and give more.
Yeah.
So maybe we can put the dots together a bit more. But yeah, I don't know that we will get any more either, to be honest. I think they messed up.
I agree. I think they messed up.
And I think what happened to him is awful.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what he could have possibly been connected to. That doesn't matter. These are possibilities. There's no, definite connection. And, I heard it speculated that maybe the WSU officer who pulled the trigger knew that he was connected to the Idaho 4 crimes. And that's going far for me.
Yeah.
That's going really, really, really far. But say that officer did believe that, or somebody on the team did believe that. What are we going to play judge and executioner now?
Yeah.
Judge, jury, and executioner? Like,
right.
That's not how justice works.
I agree with you.
So it doesn't matter if somebody is even guilty of a crime. Not even talking about Kopaka, Kohberger. If they walked into Kohberger's parents' house and shot him, that would be awful. He's not been convicted. He's not been found guilty in a court of law.
Yeah.
You know, if they walked into the Golden State Killer's house and had shot him, I again don't think that would have been right.
I agree.
We don't know until it's all played out in trial. So
Yeah. Yeah. But I
so
agree with you.
regardless of anything that Kopaka was ever involved with, which I'm not saying he ever was, it seems wrong
It does.
with the facts that we have. It seems like what happened to him was very, very wrong.
Yeah, yeah. And you guys stay tuned with us. If you are not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and hit that alert bell button. But YouTube, I still suggest following one of our social medias to know when stuff comes out. I'll post them real quick. But we have a second video coming out with Brent Kopaka, and that's where we're going into the detailed evidence. So stay tuned for that, because there are some things I just can't explain. I can't wrap my contrarian mind around and explain why this is happening, and why these connections are there. I've tried, and what I've come to the conclusion of is that either A, it was just a coincidence, right? And it totally could be. I think it's very, very, very important to take that into account. And ZJ with another super chat coming through. Malia JFK for BK's dad.
So-
1122 in 11 of 22. Yeah. It's strange, the numerology. I've seen some of the numerology.
JFK was assassinated November 22nd of
Yeah.
1963.
Mhm.
And it is a little weird, I guess.
Yeah, I think
It's-
there's numerology
it's a
that
little
can
weird.
be pointed out in a lot of things. I always try and be really careful of these topics, right? Because a lot of people don't see any benefit into things like numerology, even though there's a lot of evidence out there that numerology, it's just what's that natural equation? You know what I'm talking about?
The
Where nature,
golden-
the golden ratio,
Yeah.
ratio. So numerology tends to work a lot of times in life because we have this golden ratio of the natural world. And I've always wondered if a lot of other things fit into that golden ratio that we don't even understand could fit into it. I'm talking about things like human decisions, the way we decide different things like addresses, and a lot of subconscious connections, just because look, nature follows it subconsciously. So why wouldn't we? And I don't have any objective evidence to that with me right now. I know there's tests out there and experiments that have been done that are really interesting, and you guys should look into it. But I've always wondered if that could add to numerology aspects in certain situations. Yeah, like quantum connection. Yeah. And I think our science is starting to get there now, and should be able to get there. We'll continue to look into that. And I think there's a lot of numerology behind, looking at the stars, all that kind of stuff, because we know of this golden ratio. So yeah, I'm always careful just bringing that up, because that makes some people feel like you're not being objective in certain situations when you're looking at evidence. But interesting. And for everyone on here, make sure you guys hit that like button, please. And please leave a comment under the videos, under the Brent Kopaka video that we just got done watching. And where is... Oh, there we go. Okay. The Brent Kopaka video that we just got done watching. And then on this video here, you can leave a comment as soon as we are done. And for those of you that are here for the first time and that are new, this part of the show, we went a little bit long because we had some good topics here, but this part of the show, we transition over to the members portion. So anybody that is a member, we will talk with and continue the conversation for a while on a personal level. So everybody else, we appreciate you for being here. There's going to be a part 2 to this. This week we have Jack Showalter coming out. This week we have Demetrius and Emma coming out, and we are going to continue digging into these topics that we've been promising for months that we were going to cover with everybody who follows us in regards to the Idaho 4 content. So just stay tuned, stay alert, hit that notification button. And let me make sure that I have everything.
If you
set up
guys
right
have
here.
a piece of, this topic, in the realm of, the Kopaka kind of theories and stuff that you want us to look at or dig into more, definitely let us know. But yeah, I urge everybody to show respect. He's gone. He
Yep.
can't stick up for himself.
Exactly.
He can't say where he was or what he was doing, and his family, have clearly had trouble with all the speculation surrounding him. And that makes me sad for them,
Me too. Me too. It's important to take that into account and understand that you no matter who it is, you got to be careful about topics that we're all talking about. I should say myself, I got to be careful about topics that I'm talking about when they're not here to defend themselves, right? Because we don't want any situation to feel like we are character assassinating somebody when we're not, and that's not our intention. If anything, I hope when we're covering this that we get to bring a highlight to some of the issues in the VA and some of the failed PTSD and TBI treatment that these soldiers get that willingly gave their lives for the freedom of this country. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's very serious. And there's not a single person in the US, I think, that doesn't know a soldier, have a family member in the military, have a friend in the military, or somebody they know of. And it's our jobs to respect them for putting their lives on the line. If something pops off in the world that could, be a risk for our country, they're the ones going. I think that's a big deal, man. And Brent Kopaka had the Purple Heart, and he needs to be recognized for that.
Yeah, and some of these connections, they're weird, they're coincidental, but if there's a very simple explanation for them, one person that I think could give those explanations is like his friend who took that picture of the machete with that blue bow tied around it, and he's already been very vocal. So, but I don't think he's answered that question.
No, well, he hasn't wanted to entertain anything, and I don't think he lived in that area. You're talking about Darren Duncan. And I don't know. I don't know, but
Stacy Cole in a super chat said the dog owners debunked the collar. That's an old pic, and the dog didn't even wear a blue collar at the time I watched the interview.
Do you happen to have that link by chance?
Yeah, if you could just leave it in a comment under this
would be
video
great.
once the live stops. Or send it in an email or Discord or Twitter DM, anything really.
So
that'd be great.
To be fair, what they said when Buddy went missing is that he was wearing a black collar, but that doesn't mean that the leash wasn't blue either. So when you look at that picture with the knife, you guys, I've never thought that was the collar. I actually thought that was a leash.
What?
Yeah, because, okay, look at that dog's neck. Do you think what you see on the knife, there's enough material to do that bow?
Yeah, if you cut it and undid the part that tightens.
You think?
Yeah, there's the adjustable thing. But I don't know, maybe not.
I feel like it's a leash, but I don't. It's been a while since I watched that interview. I'm going to have to go back and watch that interview because I want to be objective here. But what always interests me is that a lot of times when you're in an animal store, you buy a collar and a leash together and they'll match, right? They come in pairs and sets. So when I'm looking at the weave of that material, it looks identical. Like the weave of the material looks
Yeah, but
identical.
if he
The
ab-
shade
if
of
he
the
ab-
color.
If he abducted their dog, why would he take the leash? That doesn't make sense.
I have no idea. How do you know the dog didn't get out? How do you know that whoever did that targeted that house?
Took him from inside the house?
No, didn't target that house. Like you're suggesting that that dog was targeted, but maybe the dog got out.
He didn't have a leash on. I don't know. I mean, I think we need to go rewatch the interview to know.
Yeah. Yep.
But
Yeah, it's
if
interesting.
somebody took the dog and did something to it, how would they have the collar? Like, did you know what I mean?
How would who have the collar?
The owners, like, is that the actual collar that they were holding up? Or, did they go buy a new one? Or, like, did the person leave the collar there with the dog? Because it would be, did they clean it?
I don't know. I don't know. That's the collar that they say he was wearing when he was ended. Is that collar right there? Yep. They claim this.
Interesting.
Yep. Yep.
So then it doesn't seem like it could be connected. But that picture of the knife, but I still kind of would like to know what that bow is.
No, I don't think that proves it's not connected. I do not think it's proved that's not connected. I think that I need to hear what else was on Buddy before I could say it 100%. That's proven. It says in here he was wearing a collar when he was gone. But all right, you guys, we are going to post this here, and we're already up on the members, actually. What?
I just wanted you to shout Cynthia giving a super sticker, and also somebody gifted a membership earlier, and I'm not sure if you clicked on it or anything. I mean, the dog was definitely picked and targeted, but
well, we don't know that.
But I mean, yeah, the dog had to have been targeted.
No, it, like I said, how do we know the dog didn't get out? So it was just a bad timing and circumstances. I don't think it's fair to say the dog was targeted.
Well, somebody did that to the dog.
Yeah. Yep.
Is my point. But okay. Can you go to start? Regina gifted a membership.
Regina coming through with the gifted membership. That is awesome. We appreciate you. Yeah, that was before that. So, and then Cynthia coming through with the super sticker. Awesome. And for everyone else, again, as soon as we hit this end stream, you guys will be able to leave a comment. Please do. It helps us out a ton. And make sure you hit that like button. And then you can find us over on that link I just sent you for the members only. And we're going to hop over there and get personal with everyone. So thank you all for being here, and we will continue this tomorrow. We will be back here live tomorrow at 8:15 p.m. and going through it. So
Yes.
See you then.
See you tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone.